Hello and welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stu Booth.
And I'm Jack Lufferman.
On today's show, we'll be talking football, including anything and everything from transfers to Chelsea, the new title contenders, I think. Hopefully.
Sending some money, aren't they?
Yeah, England as well and their squad, which shocks me no end. Cricket, Jack's suggestion for Sporting Maverick this week, which I believe comes from our mate Matt.
Our mate Matt's been in contact, a couple of times actually about that, and came up with one or two different ideas. So yeah,
interesting. I've got a story from Parents in Sport, and then followed by my own sporting story. But we're going to start with our horse, Baracello.
Yeah, so actually we had one or two people contact us about, or contact me, say, what's happened to your horse? Is it running? Da, 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 da. So actually we had an update, we had a video, didn't we, the other day from as part of the owners group that we're part of, and
let's just throw it out there. The video is strange. It's very professionally done, but then it's just like out of nowhere this voice comes, and it's like a creepy, weird.
It's very strange. A couple of the bits of the voice are very strange, but it does talk to the trainer Donald McCain and also one or two of the experts, and they're fairly impressed with him. I think he has won a point to point, hasn't he? He's already won a point to point before we bought him, I think.
Yeah, and I think the words used, he's straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward. So he's obviously a good boy, just like me and you, Stu.
Yeah.
And there's talk of him running in the autumn over the bumpers, I think they call it, isn't it? Which is the initial stop for hurdlers. So you never know when we're back. If we can get back at Christmas, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's Boxing Day races at Market Raise in my local course, so you never know.
Well, if he's based over at Cheshire, I'm hoping he's staying up in the north, mate.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, so for everybody asking, Baracello's good, he's fine, he's well, he's a good boy, good temperament, and hopefully he'll be running in October time, or in the autumn anyway, but we'll keep you updated on that. But thanks everybody who did text me, asking me for some more information, because it's money well spent, I think, Stu.
Definitely. It will be when we're in the winner's circle, sipping Moe.
Yeah, at Maydam down the road here with the shake.
I don't think it'd be serving Moe though, it might just be apple juice.
Yeah, very true.
All good in that. But moving on, we have got the winner of the world's longest competition, I believe.
Oh yeah, champions. So the Balancing Red Champions League quiz. Stu, you've got the winner, and it was quite tight in the end, I believe.
Yes, it was really strange. I'm just bringing up the results for people that are watching at home. It's down here somewhere.
Yeah, we're on YouTube again. So anybody who wants to watch us.
But yeah, it literally came down to the last game, and it was between Daryl Sims and Mohamed Judah. It was very, very tight going into the last game. And do we shout out any rubbish ones first before we give that?
Yeah, it was absolutely pathetic. Shrek. What did Shrek get on with? That's for that, for everybody who's not aware.
Where is he?
That's the sin, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well he's actually put Shrek as his name. He got the same points as you, 65.
No.
We'll not talk about mine, we'll move swiftly on.
45? Who's this fella?
He misread, and instead of putting teams down, he just put scores down. So he then negated himself from getting 10 points every time a team went through.
So he'd be... he wouldn't be any good in their classrooms, would he?
No.
Listen to instructions.
Yeah, fell apart massively. But yeah, for the people listening, it came down to, and it was only down to the fact that Daryl Sims predicted 1-0 in the final to Bayern, which gave him 15 points, which meant then he won the competition by 5 points. So congratulations, Daryl Sims. Get in contact. Daryl being one of our local listeners, who's continuously telling us about how good Wolves are. But we actually have a story about Wolves later on in transfers.
Yeah, you won't be happy with me, will you, Daryl, or not?
Yeah, I'm going to have to shout what I've heard this morning, but congratulations. But on the back of that, we are actually going to do Fantasy Premier League competition this year. Absolutely free to enter. So what we'll do is we will put this out on our social media sites and let you know what the code is to join. And we'll send it out through WhatsApp as well and get as many people as possible. What we are looking for is anybody locally that wants to get involved and maybe wants to throw a few prizes our way. And then what we can do is, if we have a weekly or a monthly winner, we'll give you a shout out on the podcast, and obviously the prize will go to that person. And if you've got a decent prize, we might even wait till the end of the season, and maybe the top 4, like a Champions League.
Yeah, so I think what we really like is to be able to give a weekly prize to the team of the week, maybe then a monthly one, and then like you say at the end, top 4 or something like that. So yeah, anybody think they can give us a prize will be great. And I guess as well, if we get enough entries, you could do a cup competition because you're a master at this, Stu, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I like to run it as a Champions League style. So rather than just having a simple knockout, you get put in the group. Top two qualify in the group. You get to play each other in a head-to-head. Dead exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah,
much more exciting than my voice gives.
So there'll be a link on our social media that takes you to the Premier League fantasy thing, which is all free to enter, which I'm sure all of you have entered before, and it'll go straight to our Sporting Jibberish League 2020-2021.
Yeah, and like I said, if there's any sponsors out there who want to give some prizes, that's awesome. We can even rename the league after you, depending. We can have a fight off.
Oh yeah,
bidding wars.
And anybody out there like Radisson Red have absolutely supported us marvellously, haven't they, since we started? So quite happy to come and do a bit of recording from a venue if that's suitable, or if you know of anybody. But yeah, that's really good. I've already entered my team, Stu. We just compared it.
We just compared it, and for anybody out there that's not looked yet, midfield is stacked with good players this year. Strikers,
it's actually stacked. The midfield's actually stacked with strikers.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got Mane, Salah, Aubameyang's now in midfield.
Greenwood, Son.
So it's heavy on the midfield.
Yeah.
Light up top. I think that's probably the way forward.
There's only one man to go up top. You know that, Stu.
Bobby Firmino?
Yeah, that's him,
yeah. I thought that's what you were talking about. Talking about Bobby Firmino, Ryan Brewster.
Yeah.
On fire, 2 more goals last night.
I saw his finishes as well. Not last night, the week before, the 2 before. He looks decent.
There could be an outside shout if you fancy team there.
Yeah, and particularly is it Origi? Thinking about going to Leeds, is that right?
Yeah, there's a few shouts, rumours, but that moves us nicely on to to football in general. We'll start with the Champions League final. Me and Jack went and watched this.
We did.
We actually watched it at the Radisson Red, surprising for everybody that knows us to like Radisson Red. You've never been there before, have you? I'm like, no, we've not.
We've got our own seats.
But we went there and they put a big screen in the back garden. I say the back garden, in the outside area.
On the wheat terrace.
Yeah, but absolutely massive. Great atmosphere, good night. Bit warm for us English lads outside, so we went and found the AC.
Oh my goodness, it was warm out there, but yeah.
It looks a good setup there, so any more games coming along, it'd be well worth going in there and having a look at it.
Definitely. And as far as the game was concerned, it's a bit disappointing, I thought, to be honest.
Yeah, I just thought, and my biggest issue, I think, from that final was the fact that Neymar was just non-existent, and Neymar's regarded as potentially the 3rd best player in the world.
Yeah, that's for another debate, I think, because I think he personally way off. Way off. You know, and don't get me wrong, he can play, and you know his evaluation and what he's achieved speak volumes, but he's nowhere near the top 3rd best player in the world for me. But it was just disappointing, and I think the right team won though, didn't they? They seemed to have control of it.
Yeah, I just thought Bayern were in cruise control most of the game, and maybe aside from the Mbappe chance where he side foots it right to the keeper, had a great opportunity. Do you put that down to the fact that he's been injured and he's coming back and he's not quite sharp?
I don't know.
But you'd still expecting a striker of that ilk to be put in the bottom corner from there.
Definitely, and that actually changes the game clearly without stating the obvious. You know, you're going 1-0 just before half time, that wasn't it, I think? And it's not, you're right, I don't think that's got anything to do with fitness or sharpness. He should bury that. You think of all the best number 9s in the world or the best finishers in the world, whether they've been out injured, they score that, don't they?
Yeah.
Or at least make the keeper make a good save. You know, Lewandowski, if he'd been out injured, he would have put it. Kane, even young Greenwood at the minute, you'd fancy him. You know, mate, it was poor. That was poor.
Oh, massive poor. And I think that's the disappointing thing, is that we wanted these two teams in the final because it was going to be open attacking football, and it just wasn't. It wasn't as free flowing. I think Bayern went about it, got the goal, and then they just kind of. They feel like they were just sat in second gear most of the game.
And I think that's it. I think Bayern can only play one way, and I just think Paris Saint-Germain were pretty poor, that it didn't allow. They were that poor that attacking free flowing game that we expected couldn't happen because they were so poor.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bayern, I think over the course of the elongated competition, they were as good or if not the best side to watch anyway.
Yeah, I think the eventual winners were true champions.
Yeah, and obviously for the second year in a row, Spurs went out to the eventual winners. I mean, what more can you want other than winning it?
I was going to say, let's see how you get on next year, but isn't it? Shots fired. That's what Harry was shouting at me. Shots fired. Right, so on to the England squad, which is a strange England squad. Completely agree with the goalkeepers. No issues there.
Yeah.
Pickford, Pope, Henderson. I think that's a nice mixture of current number one and two potentials.
He'll pick Pickford as well, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe Pope given a chance considering the season he's had, but I can't disagree with those three.
Keepers, yeah.
Moving into defence, this has caused me.
What? I cannot believe that an England manager, and I like Southgate, and I think he's done a great job. So, has gone in to 2 competitive fixtures with no left back.
No recognised left back.
No recognised left back. Now, I get that his first 2 choices, I think Chilwell and Shaw are both injured. He said that Danny Rose is completely out of form, which you can't argue with. But surely, for purpose of balance at the very least, any kind of recognised left back is better than none. Whether that is an out of form Danny Rose or, as I was talking to Matt actually in a university group, even Bertrand at Southampton's had a good end to the season, has got experience in there. Young Saka at Arsenal, he's in the under-21 squad. I just find it, I'm amazed. I think he'll play Kyle Walker there, will he not? And Trippier at right back, and Trent at right back.
I think he might go 3 at the back, 3 centre backs, and then like a wing back, and then you've got the option of obviously your midfielders then to potentially balance.
But yeah, I looked at that, but I'm not sure he could play as a wing back.
3-4-3. You could potentially Ward-Prowse could shift over there. Like you're saying,
it's just it's a bit bizarre.
Mason Mount, the other ones are pretty much out forwards. Yeah. But I can see him going 3 at the back.
Or we'll play Mings at left back as a left footer. Yeah. But I'm not sure he should be anywhere near an England squad, I'll be honest.
No, I tell you, firstly, we'll address the elephant in the room is Maguire.
Yeah.
How can you, and I read this article, he's not included Jack Grealish because he said that his temperament and his mindset and his behaviour off the pitch has not been good enough. But yet includes Maguire, and Maguire had been arrested, and then kicks him out of the squad a few hours later. Well, is that not a mixed message? Is Grealish, you're not going to be in the squad because you're being not professional off the pitch?
Yeah.
Maguire, well, you're the captain. It's okay. You go over to Greece and do whatever you want. You can be in the squad. Suddenly he's been potential jail time. Now he's reversed it.
Yeah.
Why did he not just not have him in the squad to start with? Because
I think that's the key point. And I read a couple of articles, and I agreed that at that point of picking the squad, obviously he's innocent until proven guilty, and then he's been found guilty, and that's been now nullified because it's going to go to a retrial. So, and by all accounts, there's obviously 2 sides to the story, clearly. But you're dead right. I think in the first instance, he shouldn't have been picked, just to get rid of all this controversy or potential controversy or the circus that would surround anything. So I think in Maguire turn, I think they've got to the right point now that leave him out, get him settled, get it all sorted, get the season started, because ultimately then when the next England squad comes along, it'll all be forgotten. The Grealish one is strange because I know he's had a decent season and sort of forgetting his off-field things, but I did read another article where he says that he sees him as a left-sided or sort of a wide left player, and he says that he's got people in front of him, so the likes of Rashford and Sterling and Sancho, which I completely agree with. They're way better players than Grealish, in my opinion. But I'm not sure But I think this is the problem, isn't it? Where is Jack Grealish's best position? We've talked about that before. You know, Villa have played him as a number 8, haven't they? All season he could be a number 10. And again, this might cause a bit of controversy. I'm not quite sure how good he really is as well. I'm not sure his international level.
Well,
but with the squad he's picked.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the squad now, and I've got James Ward-Prowse, Grealish. I'm picking Grealish, James Ward-Prowse, Calvin Phillips. And you're talking about that level. This is a guy that's only proven in Championship.
Yeah,
he's never played Premiership to prove himself. I know he's only a young and up and coming lad, but Calvin Phillips in instead of Grealish.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're about the same age as well. I'm just like, it baffles me.
That is a strange one, and I'll be honest with you. He's obviously, from Spurs' point of view, he's picked Dyer as a centre half. He's said that. He looks like he'll probably play now with Maguire, maybe Gomez and Keane or Gomez and Dyer.
Yeah.
I don't know. And a strange one with Winks as well, because we've talked about Harry Winks before. Just a little bit strange selection. Obviously, he's hampered a bit by injuries, I think, to a degree across the board, and quarantine and different things like that. But yeah, but let's think of some positives from the squad. I'm pleased to see he's picked Foden.
Yeah, just before we go on to four, I just want to go back to stay with the defenders thing. There's two things I want to mention here. Is one, Richard Keys, and his absolute rubbish shouts he's coming out with in Twitter, like he's Maguire's best mate.
Oh, yeah.
Or Maguire's not had a fair trial. He doesn't speak Greek. But you know what? If you get arrested in a foreign country, they don't have to speak English. They speak their native tongue. So that's an absolute load of rubbish. And he's tweeting like he's mates with Maguire. Let's be honest, mate. You're a football pundit. Maguire's probably never even looked at you twice because you don't even commentate in England anyway, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. So Keys, just keep off Twitter, mate. It just saves the embarrassment later on. And the other one for the defenders is, why is Cody not in there?
Yeah, well,
if you're giving up and coming players a chance, why are you not giving Connor Cody a run out of this opportunity?
And did you read the tweet that I tagged you in?
No, I didn't.
Last night that he was named in the Europa League Team of the Year. Shocking. Because of of his performances. Clearly, he played every minute of every game for Wolves in that. I agree with you, particularly if you think he could go to a 3.
Well, I'm looking at this now and going, who's had a better season, Michael Keane or Connor Cody?
Yeah.
And for me, it's Connor Cody. We're out of shadow.
Well,
I'd argue that
any of the other three centre halves. Has he had a better season Eric Dyer? Yes. Has he had a better season than Joe Gomez?
That might be a little bit. I know he's different teams because obviously Van Dijk might have bailed Gomez out a few times, but definitely better than Tyrone Mings. So
strange one.
You
Anyway, in Gareth we trust though, because he's gone to Foden, which I think is the right choice, and of course the other young lad he's picked as well. Greenwood hasn't he? He's picked Greenwood as well, which is good.
And Ings has been rewarded as well for his great season. But I think on a whole, you look at it from maybe your attacking line, that is a frightening.
But that is where our strength is. We've said that for ages. That's where the strength is, isn't it?
Yeah. So you've got Mason Greenwood to pick with, who's had a great end of the season. Phil Foden, who finally got some game time. Good to see him in the squad. Ings has been tremendous since being at Southampton. Tammy, it may be a bit of a surprise inclusion because he's had reduced game time.
But he's the only other number 9, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, you could argue potentially Rashford, couldn't you? But maybe not a natural goal scorer.
Yeah.
But Rashford's in there. And then you definitely got your wide boys of Sterling, Sancho, that'll come in and do a great job. And then some guy called Harry Kane. I think he's average at best, I believe.
Yeah. If you believe social media, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So whatever. What Richard Keys thinks.
Yeah, Richard Keys is probably still wittering on about Maguire, his best mate, who's been locked up now, retrial and all this load of rubbish. But you know what? I don't. Yeah, I'm not even going to go into it.
We'll just move on.
We'll leave on
to Chelsea.
Let's move on to Chelsea.
Let's talk about Chelsea.
Yeah, so Chelsea, Frank Lampard has had a tremendous, has had a tremendous first season. Without a shadow of a doubt, been absolutely brilliant. Done really well with the squad he's got, blah blah. And then suddenly it's just like Roman's gone. Here's my checkbook. Knock yourself out, kid. Yeah. My worry is firstly with the signings they've made, because Chilwell's a new one that's come through in the last couple of hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Chilwell's in there. You've got Ziyech, Werner, you've got Kai Havertz that's on the verge as well. Then there's talk about Thiago Silva, which I thought was going to Fiorentina, but seems to be like a bit of a change around on that. And there's another defender linked as well, heavily with them as well today. So if they have all these signings, suddenly you've gone from, is Frank going to mess up the chemistry? Mm-hmm. Having done really well with all these young lads, suddenly they're just going to get pushed aside and they're not going to be no longer existent. And now he's under an immense amount of pressure, because if you're spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds in the current climate, you've got to be finishing first, haven't you?
Well, it looks like Abramovich is backing him to try and win the title again, doesn't it? Or a big thing like Champions League or something like that. Excuse me, but yeah, I think I agree. He's under pressure. I'm not sure he needs it this early in his Chelsea career. Having said that, he might have gone, look, we've done well here, but expecting Man City, maybe even Liverpool to improve. Looks at the likes of Arsenal and Tottenham with their new managers, and they said that if we don't buy, we might get swallowed up again and be that team in 6th, 7th, 8th or whatever, because of the fact that the young lads, and you can't win anything with kids, can you?
Well, so Alan Hansen once famously said, but I think...
He's under massive pressure.
Yeah, I agree that they need to strengthen in certain areas, but they've strengthened in areas I thought they had strength in. So they've gone and got another striker, which I know Timo Werner's supposedly a very, very good player, but interesting that Klopp backed out of that. So is there something there that...
He's just rapid though, isn't he?
Yeah, but Ziyech, which they already had wingers or positions. You're talking about Kai Havertz coming in, but you've got Mason Mount, Loftus-Cheek, Ross Barkley, same position. You really need to go for a defender, centre back.
Some defenders. They've obviously got Chilwell now.
Yeah,
so.
and then potentially your biggest issue, and Chelsea fans will probably agree with this, is your goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Surely that would have been your number one priority. End of season, gone right. Let's sort this keeper situation out. Either right, we're completely giving this lad full confidence and we play him, and we work on coaching him, make him better.
Yeah.
Or you go right, sell up, off you go, bring in another one. Handanovic would have been a good one. Donnarumma.
What about Joe Hart on a free?
You love Joe Hart. I just wonder if he's been to Burnley and he can't get a sniff in there.
Yeah, but I think certainly Frank's got a bit of pressure on him.
Yeah.
I'll see what happens. But interesting, because it could look. It certainly looks like a 3-horse race for the title now, and you just never know. There'll probably another side will come out of the woodwork. I think hopefully Spurs will be a bit more competitive than they were last year. Arsenal potential. They've done no business at the minute, which is bizarre because they need some. I know Arteta's doing a good job, but surely they need some defenders in there as well, don't they?
Yeah. Arsenal's like a massive jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? They need so many more players that I don't think they can invest that well into it.
Bit at a time, though, maybe. But...
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a problem. Is Arsenal fans will obviously think back to the glory days of Wenger and wanting to finish in the top 4 and get Champions League football, but you literally go through, right, Leno, really good goalkeeper. Saliba, I think, will do a good job in defence, but you need a couple more around him. Midfield, you're not going to win the league with Granit Xhaka in there.
No.
So you need some type of other support and strength within that aspect. Banging, looks like you're going to manage to keep hold of him. Lacazette, I've heard rumours that he might be wandering.
I think he's going to get more out of Lacazette and Pepe.
Yeah.
For me, but we shall see. We shall see what happens. But and then the other big transfer before we finish this football section that I looked up was, do you see James Rodriguez from Madrid to Everton?
Really?
I read that yesterday. They reckon he wants to link up with Ancelotti again because he was with him at Bayern and at Madrid, but some sign that'll be. But I was also reading that, when he broke to fame in the 2014 World Cup, that's obviously that's 6 years ago. He's 29 now. He was 23 then. He's not run a lot in 6 years, to be fair, is he?
He just seems to be a bit of a journeyman now, doesn't he? He just goes from one decent club
couple of loans and
never quite makes it. But we can't leave this section without talking about Messi, can we?
No.
The story is that Messi's dad's been at Manchester having a chat with Man City, saying that he's discussing a 2-year deal. Initially, when this story came out, I thought this is Messi's tradition. Every end of every season, he has a groan and a whinge. Rumours start that he's going to leave, but it seems like it's got a little bit more clout about it now. And they reckon that it could cost City in the region of about 500 million. I think that's his buyout clause. Because in Spain, every player has to have a buyout clause.
And apparently, his contract's obviously up next year, but apparently there's an unwritten thing that he says that it says that he can say he can leave on a free, obviously with different things, but basically on a free transfer at any point in his contract, as long as he notifies the club by May. But they were saying, well, obviously May was not the end of the season, so he will then class that as the end of the season, which is August. So, I mean, I don't know whether it'll happen. I agree with you. When it first happened, I was like, it's just on a power trip again, on a power struggle. He wants people out, but like you say, it seems that he's had a meeting with Koeman that didn't go very well.
I wonder if it backs on to Koeman's already told Suarez he can go.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of there. I think his meeting with Koeman personally didn't go particularly well, and some of the things that Koeman said he's going to bring in and the guys he's going to get rid of, again, not agreed, so we'll see. But we just said off air, in all honesty, if he's going to come, it'd be great to see him in the Premiership. I want to see him week in, week out.
I'd love to see him in the Premiership. I just hope that he's injured every time we play on City.
Yeah, but we'll see, because you know the big old question: can he do it on a Tuesday night at Stoke, or it'll be Burnley, won't it? This year, at the moment. So
I think he needs to worry about Liverpool anyway, because Andy Robertson has him in his back pocket every time we play against him.
Oh, there we go. So we'll wait and see. Maybe this time next week a bit more clarity on whether Messi's coming to the Premier League. Because obviously, the 2 weeks time Premier League starts.
Yeah, 12th I think.
And then obviously, I know the transfer window goes beyond that a little bit, but I would have thought something like, if you're going to get Messi, that's going to be a done deal fairly quickly in terms of getting him in for the start of the season, surely. You'd
want to get him done just in case anybody changes their mind or chucks in any other offers, because realistically, there's only Paris Saint-Germain, City that potentially could afford him. I know somebody threw in Juventus, but I was like, they couldn't afford him and Ronaldo.
No
You'd be FIFA fair play, be having a heart attack.
I just wonder if the PSG's the place.
Yeah, but we won't link up with Neymar. But right, moving on to parents in sport.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a bit of a background story. So this is a true story that actually happened. So back, how old am I now? 14. Back 8 years ago, I used to run Harry's football team, and it was a 5-a-side team, and we used to train, and we got the option to enter in the Under-7s league. I decided, as from my background of coaching and PE teaching, that I didn't want to enter them into the league. I thought they were too early. So every Saturday we used to work on skill work, ball work, touches, control, passing, basic skills. So they were in a good position. Then occasionally we started throwing in some friendlies towards the end of the year, and we were doing really well. Played a few different teams and held our own, even though we'd not had much match play. And what happened is the squad started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when we came to the under-8s, we actually had enough for 2 squads. The decision I had to make was I couldn't run both teams because the games were at similar times. Yeah. So I decided to split the teams, and I had 2 volunteer dads come along and help, and I'm really thankful for them to come along and help, and no issues against them whatsoever. So I spoke to these 2 dads and I said, look, what we're going to do is we're going to split the team on ability. And straight away you can see people's faces. Like, oh, ability, and I'm like, look, from my background, and anybody that's played decent level of sport will understand, you will only get better if you get the opportunity to play with lads of either similar ability or a little bit better than you. You need to get in contact with the ball, you need to learn off other players and stuff. So that was a remit I went down. The dads kind of were chuckling half and half, and I was like, look, believe me, trust me, blah, blah. This kid here needs more game time. When he gets more game time, he'll then be ready to step up. And we want to run it a bit like a first and second team. And that was the initial agreement. Anyway, the season goes by. The lads that needed the development started developing, started getting better, and I was watching them. I was like, these guys are going to be ready. I had a couple of lads that weren't quite making the grade of mine. I thought this would be a nice swap come the end of the season. So I contacted the dads. I was like, right, end of the season, we've both had decent seasons. Right, I think these 2 lads need to drop down to yours, and then I'll take these 2. And then this is where the issue came. It was like, we're not getting rid of our best players. I'm like, but this is about developing boys and playing better football and helping enhance their chances of playing. No, we're refusing to swap players. I was like, you know what, right, forget it. It's absolutely fine. You want to be like that, that's absolutely okay. And then the strangest thing happened. One of the dads from the second team rings me. He says, just to let you know, we're leaving the club. I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. He said, he's got to a level now, he needs to be playing with better players. I was like, right. I said, I completely get it. So he said, I've rang the manager and I've told him we're leaving. I said, all right. I said, and he was absolutely fine with it. I said, all right, who are you going to? He said, I'm coming to you. I'm like, all right. I said, are you sure? He was like, yeah. This is, we've cleared it with the gaffer. He's absolutely fine with it. So I was like, that's awesome. And he was one of the lads I wanted to move up. So I was like, brilliant. So I got to ring the other manager, he doesn't answer. So I ring the chairman, I'm like, look, the transfer's going to happen. This lad's going to come to my team, blah, blah, blah. Is that right? No, he's sure happy with that. I was like, yeah. I said, the dad spoke to him, he said he's absolutely fine. And next thing, the manager rings me up and he's not happy with me. He's like, you've done this. I said, what do you mean I've done this? He's like, you contacted him when I said we're not swapping players, you've gone behind. I said, no, I haven't done anything of the sort. Anyway, it caused a bit of a ruckus between like everybody within the club. And I was just like, generally I have not done anything wrong here. He rang me, blah, blah. And he kind of like mellowed out. And then one of the dads from the other team literally joined and started helping out and coaching. And we went to watch Harry's junior football match. And he goes, oh, this is all you're doing, this, isn't it? I said, sorry. He was like, these problems in the club, it's all because you split the teams on ability. You shouldn't have split them on ability. You should have let them half and half. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, keep the teams fair, 2 equal teams. I was like, but that's not how the world works. I said, your kid is in maths. Do you put him in a mixed ability class, or does the teacher differentiate and give him harder questions because he can do harder? Or would you be sat there with him being not very good at maths, doing all the hard questions because you have clever people now? He was like, well, it's not the same. I said, well, why is it not the same? I said, you're talking about sport, but because it's football, you think you've got an opinion to it. I said, what's your job? He says, I'm an engineer. I said, if I started telling you about what buttons you should press and how you should cut this and do this different, what would you say? Like, you don't have a clue about it. I went, well, you've said everything you need to say there. I said, you don't have a clue about it. I said, this is my area of expertise. I'm a PE teacher, I'm a qualified football coach, and I play at a decent level. I said, well, just leave it at there, shall we? And he was like, oh, yeah. But that's my biggest issue, is that parents in football, and especially in football, think that because, I don't know, they watch a game on a weekend, they've got a valid opinion on how development should happen at youth level.
Yeah, and it's, you pointed out right at the top, some people lose sight of the fact, and it was the same when I was doing cricket and things like that. People lose sight of the fact that it's not always about the best players. You splitting the sides up there, for example, it wasn't just about the best players, it's about those players that need developing, and those players who, look, for all the will in the world, aren't the greatest ever, but they want to play, so who's in the right? And at the end of the day, if you split those sides equally, they wouldn't play enough minutes. It's the same in cricket. We've done it, even at adult level, when we've had 2 sides on a Sunday, and I've had people go, well, I'm not playing. Why is he playing? He's rubbish. Because he's paid his membership, pal, and he wants to play. And ultimately, we're not playing for a row of houses in that particular league. And actually, more often than not, if you give them a go, they do develop to their own level. And actually, as they get older, kids actually then realise that actually I'm not as good as I want to, and that unfortunately they lose interest and they go somewhere else. But you can't just think parents sometimes get really selfish about their own, and I get that. We're both parents, and you want yours to do the very best, but at the same time you've got to be level-headed, and you've got to see the bigger picture, haven't you, for everybody else. And it's a team game,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. But interesting, and obviously I watched a bit of a documentary on Tiger Woods. We mentioned it this week, where he's that unbelievable, like getting him up at 4 o'clock in the morning as a 5-year-old and going around the golf course, trudging around the golf course and hitting balls, and you just think, but he would argue it works.
Yeah, parents like that, they're 1 in a million. So you've got 999,000 other stories that happens, and the kids hate the sport,
Absolutely,
don't take up the sport and fall out of love, and then end up not even doing any sport because of it.
I think some of the biggest problems is sometimes the parents try and live, think either their son or daughter's got their ability if they were good at a sport and try and live their career again through that, or they see sometimes that they've got more ability than what they had and they're trying to get them through in it.
Well,
Doesn't work.
It's the bright lights of the Premiership,
Yeah,
particularly
in football.
If I get them into professional football, I'm looked after as my retirement fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sporting Mavericks, Matt Beam's been in it, hasn't he?
So Matt actually messaged me and said, I've been listening to Sporting Mavericks. He agreed with the one, Sullivan won. And he gave me Rennie Higuita, can you remember? The goalkeeper from
the
Colombian goalkeeper?
Scorpion.
Yes.
Took free kicks a lot,
Took free kicks, used to dribble out. And we're talking, not late 80s, early 90s.
You think they got caught off Roger
Miller
against Cameroon, wasn't
That's right, yeah. So that was a good one, Matt. So if not to read, Higuita was a keeper for, it was Colombia, wasn't he? Did the famous Scorpion at Wembley from Jamie Redknapp shot or free kick?
Yeah, it was. He kind of lobbed the ball into an area, didn't it? It was given for offside, and I don't know if he'd done it if it hadn't been given for offside, or if he'd had the whistle. But
he saved it with his feet behind his head, didn't he?
I wonder how many people brought wrists after that, because I remember I had a good go at a few of them.
But he did used to he had crazy hair, didn't he? And he did used to dribble out all the time, and he used to take free kicks and stuff like that. So
he was the definition of a sweeper keeper. So
yeah, he was.
I think for any young people out there that don't know, have a look up for this guy.
Yeah, he's good. And then the one I thought of, which is a bit more that's more of a maverick on the field, I guess. Ability-wise, I don't really know how good a goalkeeper he was, but he was good. He used to wear jogging bottoms as well, didn't he? Yeah, bizarre. Off the field, the one I thought of was Chris Eubank.
Oh yes, Eubank.
Very, very maverick in the way he dressed. I still think that voice is put on for the cameras.
I think
his style was a little bit unusual, his hands down, but certainly off he was a maverick all himself. And of course now he manages his son, doesn't he?
Yeah, living through his son. But yeah, I was just thinking then because his arch rival was Nigel Benn, wasn't it?
Yeah, who was going to try and come back at every time actually a few months back, but it never happened, did it?
No,
Nigel Benn.
But
then Conor Benn and it could be another Ben Eubank fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, interesting one that spotted Mavericks there. But yeah, Higuita was a good one, Matt. I like that. But I remember that one at Wembley, full house at Wembley. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember that one, and then the one where he gets caught by Roger Miller in the World Cup.
And Miller, of course, would have done the little
jig in the corner.
on the corner flag. Wonderful. Wonderful. Cricket.
Yes, so news this week. Good news for the women's cricket.
Yeah, so obviously we've been talking about it, and I think they've been listening to you, Stu. So, well, probably us. They've managed to get some fixtures from the West Indies. Are going to come over and play some white ball stuff against England women, which is good. So they've come out their bubble now. They've gone to play some 20 over cricket for their counties or for their franchises in England, and then they're going to go back in September to a bubble and play the West Indies in some white ball cricket, which is really good, and it's going to be live on BBC.
Yeah,
which is really good. As are some upcoming men's T20 cricket this next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's good for the women, and of course good on BBC for showing it for free.
Yeah.
And then of course Jimmy Anderson went into the record books again this week. First seamer to take 600 wickets, 156 Test matches, a 17-year career. Unbelievable. From your neck of the woods as well, the Burnley Express.
Well, yeah, I think the school I used to work at in Burnley, his mum worked there. Just as I started, I think she was just finishing. But yeah, she kept it on the low down. But,
there he was, yeah. But I remember him starting. I can remember him starting in Australia in the one day stuff. I was actually out there at the same time, and the different haircuts. But phenomenal achievement to keep your body fit for fast bowler, because I think they said it. There's probably not one day that he would wake up thinking he feels 100% fit over that career. But yeah, well done. And whether he'll continue or not, we'll wait and see. He says he's going to do. I think he's needs 20 more wickets to go past Anil Kumble and become the third best bowler of all time. But then he's got Warne at 700 and Murray at 800, so he's probably not going to get there, I don't think.
No, possibly not. So Jack, we saw the return of amateur cricket in Dubai. So please tell me, wasn't a golden duck, was it?
No, so when last week Captain Dave wins a toss, says we're batting, and all I could think about, Stu, is you saying first ball, don't get first ball, don't get first ball. So we're getting padded up, it's unbelievably warm, like they reckon that they're taking a temperature of 54 with the humidity and stuff like that, and all I can think about is Booth telling me to get first ball. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't get first ball. In fact, I hit my second ball for 4. 50 odd partnership with the opening partner. I got 20 odd, I think.
I was going to wait for you to go 50 odd partnership, and I got 4.
No, I got 20 odd, and then got out to a pretty good catch, to be fair. We did lose, but it was good to get out on the field, albeit it was unbelievably hot. So that Mammoths League has started now, and we've got another game tonight.
Well, looking for if it times well, I might pop up and heckle from the side. I might even bring a banner. With a big duck on it.
It's just, yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. So I don't know who we're playing to. Dubai Rhinos, I think, tonight.
I tell you, I wonder. I might just pop up just to see, because obviously when I play football, the stuff that's shouting on a football pitch is completely different. I don't know if you'll be able to hack a little bit of football banter on a cricket pitch.
I've come across some banter before. I tell you, like particularly when I was in Australia, they didn't really like me to begin with. I won't lie. Well, but yeah, so Dubai amateur cricket's up and running with some pre-season tournaments, and then. I think actually though that training facilities and the schedule sort of being interrupted a minute, because obviously the IPL, all those teams are in the country now, and obviously training, I think that starts the 19th of September, so you never know, the likes of MS Dhoni and Kohli might get to rub shoulders with myself.
Wow.
You never know.
Well, lucky for them, eh?
I know, unbelievable.
Lucky guys.
I mean, that must be one of the good things about being out here as well, I would say, from their point of view.
Yeah, definitely. I think the funny thing is when you talk about general sports people out here, they feel much more comfortable because they're not harassed and bothered. And the amount of people I've bumped into and walked into in hotels and stuff is unbelievable.
And even the local news are reporting exactly where Dhoni and his team staying, the CSK and the RCB, Kohli's team staying in the hotel. Just printed it. I mean, you'd never get that, would you, in the UK and that, but. No. Yeah, so cricket's up and running. We'll see how we go tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking
Your
forward to it.
story now. What have we got for us, Stu?
Right, so I've gone back to a bit of an incident that happened in a football match for a team called Arkwrights, who I've mentioned before, best team in Preston on a Sunday morning, head and shoulders. We're playing a team called Vic. They ended up wrapping up, but they had a crazy manager called Frank who spent all game 5 yards inside the pitch touchline, and he'd run up and down the pitch. And everybody knows Frank, long hair, bobble hat, in his wellies, just ran up and down, just shouting stuff. He was off his face, but his son played for his team. His name was Bigfoot. He was like 6'8", absolutely massive unit. And got to play this pass, and I've played the pass, my foot's gone out, played the pass. He's come in with a little bit of naughty tackle. For the camera, this is the bottom of his studs. He's gone down on the side of my calf as I've gone through. Well, he's not raped me, he's basically just blunted the side of my calf. Yeah, I'm like, and our lads reacted. I remember JK shouting all sorts of abuse at him. We got the free kick, and I was like, that's a bit sore. Carried on playing. So, it's a bit of a stinger, that one. Carried on going and finished the game, and I jump in the shower. And I'm not even looked, and I'm in the shower, and Mossy shouts to me, goes, "Oh my God, look at your leg. Have you split your calf?" And what happened was, I can only imagine is like the size of a golf ball appeared on the side of my leg. And I was like, I've no idea what that is. And he's like, "You alright?" I said, "The muscle feels absolutely fine." I'm like, God knows what it is. And it was absolutely huge. It's just go down your leg and then just big lump, like a golf ball. So long and short of it all, I'm like hobbling around. I'm like, it's not going down. I stay, it's not going down. A couple of people have gone, you need to go to hospital. So I got to hospital and they've gone, yeah, something not right there. Took me in and put me in this bed, and this doctor walks into the room, and I'm not joking you, she's like 11 out of 10. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I didn't know these type of doctors but I'm like checking, I'm not in
only on those movies that you
I'm just checking I'm in the right place. And she's absolutely stunning. She starts talking to me, she's like, and I'd say she was like late 20s, and I was only like 19, 20 at the time. And I'm like, yeah, I play football. I'm like, ugh. Anyway, she says, right, what's happened is, as he hit you, he said, what you've got is an internal bleed, so he's like severed like a vein or something, and what he's done is bled outside of the muscle, so that's what the lump is. He says, what we're going to have to do is just check it back, we're going to have to drain it. So how are you going to do that? She says, we'll have to put a needle in and we'll just drain everything out. I was like, I'm not a big fan of needles, but I'm going to put my big boy...
You say, can you hold my hand?
Well, I thought, I'm going to have to put my big brave face on here, and I just thought, it'll be alright, because as she's dealing with me, she'll have her back to me, you know, and drain it from that side, so I'm like, I can pull her face I want. She doesn't, she gets this needle out, and it looks absolutely, I know you probably didn't see him, but it looked like a good 7-8 inches, this needle, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But then she proceeds to get everything out. She's like, "You're alright." I'm like, yeah, I'm absolutely fine with needles, you know. Anyway, she turns and faces me, she sticks the needle in. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, there goes my brave face, and I'm trying my hardest to keep this big brave face on, and I'm almost crying like a little girl.
And the blood's being drained from the wound.
Well, the funny thing was nothing came out. It dried up, all dried up, and it was just this lump. And I then got referred to physio, which never ever happened because it was part of the NHS. But yeah, absolutely stunning doctor. Got absolutely nowhere when she saw my big brave face when she was injecting with a needle.
Oh dear.
But yeah, thanks for that, Bigfoot. Much appreciated. The slap on the sand.
I wonder whether she went back and told the story about this wimpy 19-year-old footballer.
Yeah, I think the thing was I was giving her big licks before, you know, thinking, oh, I'll be alright because she'll turn her back on me. She didn't. She looked right at me, you know, like stared into my eyes, could see my soul and everything.
Just crying.
Yeah, tears rolling down my face. But yeah.
Oh dear, brilliant. Well, that comes to an end of this week's episode. As usual, thanks ever so much for listening. I'm going to go and get ready for cricket a bit later. Hopefully Stu is busy so he doesn't come down and banter me, but you never know. Please get involved, raters, reviewers, as we always say. Any more sporting maverick ideas out there, because there's a few flying around, I'm pretty sure. But like I say, always get involved with us, because at the end of the day,
what do we know?